It makes sense now. It all makes sense now. Sonic Frontiers is my Sonic game. It was made for me. But they made some baffling decisions in the base game that I just couldn't understand. Why is the skill tree so small? Why does Sonic have the drop dash but no spin dash? The Final Horizons DLC pack is so good, it makes me wonder why the heck it was free. I would gladly pay at least another 10 or 15 bucks for this, and I'm sure thousands of other Sonic Frontiers fans would too. It almost makes me wonder if this was maybe supposed to be in the game all along, but they decided to cut it and instead include it as DLC to keep up appearances. Think about it. It would just make too much sense. Sega and Sonic Team have a long history of overambition when it comes to their games. I think they finally decided they were done overpromising and under-delivering. Well, it paid off, because with this final DLC pack, they totally over-delivered. 3 new playable characters with not only completely new movesets, but new skill trees too? I was not expecting this much. As mentioned earlier, I was super underwhelmed with the skill tree in the base game. I completed it so quickly it just seemed pointless. I didn't even fully understand why they even had it. But now it makes sense. The new techniques are so cool. I thought everyone was just going to be a Sonic clone with a different skin. I thought if anything, the only gameplay differences would be Knuckles could glide and climb, Tails could fly, and Amy could use her hammer. But there's so much more. Amy has a really useful triple jump. She uses her tarot cards, which I don't even know if they were canon before this, but it's cool that they are now, I guess. The tarot cards are her base attack, which didn't really make sense to me at first. You'd think her base attack would be her hammer, but it makes sense when you upgrade her skill tree. And she's even got her own glide. Why can Amy glide when Knuckles is usually the one that glides? I don't know, but it's cool. It reminds me of Spyro. I love Spyro. I guess Amy's is more of a slow descent rather than an actual glide. She doesn't gain much distance when she uses it. Of course Amy is slower than Sonic and can't do certain things that he can, like running up walls. It makes sense with the series lore, and it fits perfectly in the game. She also makes this noise, which is just so annoying, but in a good cheesy 90s kind of way. There are a ton of new cutscenes in the final DLC pack. I wasn't expecting that either. It's crazy how much they save for the end. Like, I would have expected them to spread this stuff over the 3 DLC packs, but for whatever reason they decided to make the first 2 packs just so minimal and insignificant compared to this one. I don't get it, but I guess I kind of appreciate it. This is just such an awesome surprise after how lackluster the first 2 DLC packs were. Another reason I feel like this was originally planned to be part of the game? The challenges in the base game are so easy. Even on the final map they were easy. Basically anyone can do them. Not this time around. The challenges are actually challenging now. Are those purple guys from Sonic Heroes? That's so cool. Moving on to Knuckles, it's kind of weird that he can only climb specific walls, but it makes sense. Every time Knuckles or Rouge has been able to climb any surface in a 3D Sonic game, it's been pretty janky. Especially in an open world game like this, you have to give the characters some limitations. At least I thought you did. Tails disagrees. At least Knuckles' glide is pretty useful. The turn radius is maybe a little too wide. It can be pretty difficult to make some of the tighter turns while gliding. In previous 3D games where Knuckles was playable, he was usually able to turn on a dime, so this new glide style can take a little while to get used to. He also does this weird mid-air pause at the beginning of every glide, which can be a little jarring. Tails can throw wrenches. Look at how fast he can throw wrenches! He can even throw them while flying. And you can summon the tornado too. God, I love this game. Though I am getting some Sonic 06 vibes from the way he tosses those wrenches. It's really similar to how he throws the fake item boxes in Sonic 06. It's so great because after the terrible reception that Sonic 06 got, I didn't think we'd ever get to play as these characters with these movesets in a 3D Sonic game ever again. But lo and behold, here we are! I'm also getting Sonic 06 vibes from the way these boxes explode when you just walk into them. It's pretty great. Tails' Cyclone sure does trivialize everything. The main obstacle becomes the game's poor draw distance. Obstacles just don't load until you're about 2 feet in front of them. This is more of a base game thing, but I do have to touch on how much I like the aesthetics of Sonic Frontiers. It would be nice if the Desert Island and the Rocky Island weren't the only non-foresty zones, but seeing Sonic running through the forest in the rain is pretty cool. It reminds me of the first trailer for Sonic 06 when people were still hyped and referred to the game as Sonic Next Gen, before the game came out and everyone just started bashing the game incessantly. I still dislike Roger Craig Smith as Sonic.
Baldy nose hair!
I was really hoping with the new, more mature voice direction in Sonic Frontiers I would like it better, but no, I just can't get used to Roger Craig Smith as Sonic. He's a great voice actor, just not my Sonic. I'd take any previous Sonic voice actor over him, even Jaheel White.
That's no good.
But not his voice actor in Sonic Prime. I'm not a huge fan of that either.
I broke everything.
The rest of the voices are okay, I guess. Well, sometimes. Amy can be a little over the top.
We won't let you down!
And Knuckles just sounds like someone trying to do a deep masculine voice. It doesn't sound natural at all.
Oh, forget the vaults. I'll find him the old-fashioned way. You search for him however you want.
Again, I'd prefer any of the previous Knuckles and Amy voice actors over the current ones. Tails is pretty good though. They can keep Colleen. Mike Pollock is on point as Eggman as always. And I actually really like Sage's voice actor.
It is his to conquer, so yes.
Despite that, Sonic is the star of the show, and because of that I had to switch to the Japanese voices for most of the game. Thankfully, it gives you the option to switch between the two. Even though it's pretty cliche, they really nail the robotic zero-personality archetype that's been popular ever since Rey was introduced in Neon Genesis Evangelion. I love the Sonic Adventure 2 fanservice in this game. Tails' Tornado 2, the soap shoes for those who got the pre-order bonus, all of the returning moves from SA2 like the bounce, the lightspeed dash, and it's not just Adventure 2 fanservice, like the way Amy twirls around for her triple jump like she did in Sonic Advance. Tails has his arm cannon thing from Sonic Battle. Knuckles can even do his punching combo from Sonic Heroes. There's just so much fan service. Not that kind of fan service. They even reference freaking Sonic the comic Super Sonic. That's such a crazy obscure reference, but I love it. I haven't even mentioned the new cyberspace levels yet. They're pretty great too. Especially this one that's just, oops, all white sedans. I just love all the random stuff Sonic Frontiers throws at you. There's a random cyberspace level in the new DLC that gives you something called the Rocket Boost. It allows you to go like super fast, plowing through enemies. It never showed up before in the game, and it never shows up again after. But it's cool that it's there. Like how that one cyberspace level allows you to use the drift, even though that's never a mechanic in the game outside of that one cyberspace level. It kind of makes sense because I always thought the drift was kind of pointless ever since they introduced it in Unleashed anyway. But just the fact that it was in this one level caught me off guard and helped add to the fact that I just never knew exactly what was going to come next in this game. Also, there's like a random pinball minigame. I love pinball. No idea why it's here, but I love it. These new cyberspace levels are so hard. Astronomically more difficult than anything in the base game. I wasn't about to go in and try to S-rank all of them, but I'm glad that people can have that extra challenge if they want it. And there are so many different routes in the cyberspace levels. That was one of my biggest complaints with Sonic Forces. There were only like 2 routes you could take on each level. Once you played through a level once or twice in Sonic Forces, you'd seen pretty much everything. I feel like the time trials in Frontiers, on the other hand, are endlessly replayable. Not just because of how many different routes there are, but because of how exploitable the gameplay mechanics are too. There are just so many little cliffs and ledges you could just fling yourself off of with a well-timed boost or a spin dash. It's so cool. I did miss the Big the Cat fishing levels in the DLC. Those were so chill in the main game, and it'd be fun to see Tails, Knuckles, and Amy interact with Big. Though apparently they wouldn't be able to do that anyway because he's just a digital augmentation of Sonic's memories in this game? Go figure. I'm also disappointed that you can't use Tails, Knuckles, and Amy outside of Uranus Island, or in any of the cyberspace levels, or even in their regular non-digital forms. But thankfully there are mods for that, so just make sure if you have a PC strong enough to run it on high settings, you buy it on PC. Because man, this game looks great in high definition, and I don't recommend buying exclusively the watered down version for the Switch, or buying it for older computers or the Steam Deck unless that's your only option. I tried the game out on PS5, Switch, Steam Deck, and on my gaming PC, and PS5 and PC were by far the best 2 experiences. I won't get into endgame spoilers here, but I'll just say that the new ending is fantastic. I remember feeling a little disappointed with the original ending, thinking that it felt a little anticlimactic, but this new DLC really made up for that. It really does feel like this is the true full ending the game was always meant to have. They just didn't have time to complete it for the initial launch of the game. It makes me wonder what Sonic 06 or some other supposedly unfinished games could have been like if they had this amount of post-launch support in the form of DLC. Overall, now that all the DLC is out, I'm super impressed by Sonic Frontiers. Easily in my top 3 Sonic games. Maybe one of my favorite games ever, but it is still the honeymoon period, so we'll see what I think about it in a year or two. Thanks for watching!